Good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 7. What does a police shooting, a peaceful protest turned violent, an interpersonal violence instance, and a gang shooting in Chelsea, Massachusetts have in common? Well, in today's lecture, we're going to study that one moment that they all share, and something that we very rarely focus on or talk about, but it potentially holds the key to some of the ways that we can prevent these negative outcomes from happening. It's so simple, it's so psychological, and let's jump into it.
You give me a few minutes, all right? You okay?
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me to
You
say?
seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. Because I feel like it's crap for what I'm getting a ticket for. I was getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me. So I move over and you stopped me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket. So let's continue.
Are you done?
You asked me what was wrong and I told you.
Okay.
So now I'm done, yeah.
Okay. You mind putting out your cigarette, please? If you don't mind.
I'm in my car. Why do I have to put out my cigarette?
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car.
Why am I...
Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove
I
you.
refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Step out or I will remove you.
I am getting removed for a failure.
Step out or I will remove you. I'm giving you a lawful order. Get out of the car now or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my lawyer.
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you're going to yank me out of my car?
Get out.
Okay. All right.
25.
Let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah. Don't touch me.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take me
You are under arrest.
I'm under arrest for what?
25,
For what?
7 County FM 1098, just
For
north
what?
of 290, send me another unit. Get out of the car.
Another unit, FM 1098.
Get out of the car, now.
Why am I being apprehended? You trying to give me a ticket
I
for your
said
failure?
get out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You
I'm
just
giving
opened
you a
my
lawful
car
order.
door. You just
I'm
opened
going to
my car
drag you
door.
out of here.
So you threatening to drag me out of my own car.
Get out of the car.
And then you
I will
stun
light
me?
you up. Get out.
Wow.
Now.
Wow.
Get out of the
Really,
car.
for a failure to signal. You doing all of this for
Get
a failure
over there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
Go
it.
ahead.
For a failure to signal. Yep, for a failure to signal.
Get off the phone.
On my school.
Get off the phone.
I'm not on the phone. I have a right
Put
to
your
record.
phone
This is
down.
my property. This
Put
is
your
my
phone
property.
down.
Sir?
Put your phone down. Right now. Put your phone down.
County to 8.
For a f***ing failure to signal, my goodness.
Come over here.
Y'all are interesting.
Come
Very
over here
interesting.
now.
You feeling good about yourself?
Stand right here.
You feeling good about yourself?
Stand right
For
there.
a failure to signal, you feel real good
Turn
about
around.
yourself, don't you?
Turn around.
You feel good about yourself, don't
Turn
you?
around now.
What are you?
Put your hands
Why
behind your
am I
back and
being
turn around.
arrested?
Turn around.
Why can't you tell me
I'm
why
giving you a lawful order. I will
why
tell
am I
you.
being arrested?
Turn
why
around.
Won't you tell me that part?
I'm giving you a lawful order. Turn around.
Why will you not tell me
You are
what's
not
going
compliant.
on? I'm not complying because you just pulled me out of my car.
Turn around.
Are you f***ing kidding me? This is some bull.
Hands behind your back.
Because you know this is straight bull. You full of straight. That's all y'all is, some scary cops. South Carolina got y'all scared. That's all it is. Scared of a female.
If you would just listen.
I was trying to sign the ticket. Whatever.
Stop moving.
Are you serious?
Stop moving.
Oh, I can't wait till we go to court. Ooh, I can't wait. I cannot wait till we go to court. I can't wait. Ooh, I can't wait. You want me to sit down now?
No.
Or you gonna throw me to the floor? That'll make you feel better about yourself?
Knock it off.
No, that'll make you feel better about yourself? That'll make you feel real good, won't it? For a failure to signal, you doing all of this. In little ass Prairie View, Texas. My God, they must want to.
You were getting a warning. Until now, you're going to
No,
jail.
I'm getting for what?
You can come
For
read.
what?
Come read right.
I'm getting a warning for what?
Stay right here.
For what? Well, you
Stay
just
right
pointed
here.
me over there.
I said stay right
Get
here.
your mind right. Let me. Oh, I swear on my life, y'all some a cop for a signal. You
I
gonna
got her
take me to
control.
jail?
She's in handcuffs.
What a
What
you about to break my wrist.
Stop moving.
I'm standing still. You
Stand
keep
right
moving
here.
me. God damn it.
Stand right there.
Don't touch me. For a traffic signal, you doing all this bullshit. I'm here for a traffic signal.
Come read right over here. This right here says a warning. You started creating the problems.
You asked me what was wrong.
Do you have
I'm trying to
anything
tell
on
you.
your person that's
Do
illegal?
it feel like I got anything on me? This a
I'm
maxi
gonna
dress.
remove your glasses.
This a maxi dress.
Come on over
What I
here.
have on me? You're about to break my wrist. Can you stop? You are about to break my wrist.
Stop moving. Stop now. Stop it.
Stop resisting, man.
If you would stop, and I would tell you. Now stop.
You are such a You are such a No, you are.
You're yanking around.
Full traffic signal.
You are yanking around.
Signal.
When you pull away from me,
Right.
you're
This make you
resisting
feel
arrest.
real good. This make you feel real good, don't it? A female
Keep it
for a
right
traffic
here.
signal.
I got it.
For a traffic signal. I know that make you feel good, officer.
Go
Ain't
ahead.
seen
Take
it.
care of yourself.
I know it make you feel real good. You're a real man now. You
got
just
it.
slammed me, knocked my head in the ground. I got epilepsy, you mother.
Good.
I hope I
Good.
You should have thought
This is
about that
good.
before
Okay.
you start resisting.
All right. Yeah, this is real good. Real good for a female. Yeah.
What you will have just seen is just a bunch of random examples of exactly what this week's lecture is all about. The crisis in communication. At the start of this lecture, I gave you 4 examples, right? A police shooting, a protest turned violent, an interpersonal violence case, an interpersonal violence or interpersonal domestic interaction gone wrong, and a gang shooting in Chelsea. And I asked you, what do they all have in common? What they all have in common is that at some point leading up to or preceding that, or whatever that awful criminal outcome could have been or was, there was a moment when those 2 people who were involved, or multiple people, were talking to each other. And maybe if we just understood that, we could better prevent those situations that happen, millions and millions of situations like that happen every day. We could just prevent them from becoming the criminal and harmful outcomes that they are. But we always ignore it. We always ignore it. When it comes to the protests, right, it's never about communication. It's about technology, scanning social media, militarizing the police. What non-lethal weapons can they use? What tactics can they use? How can we identify troublemakers in the crowd, right? It's never about that. What happens when people talk to each other? And in the police shooting, something I work on a lot, I study decision making. It's about the decision making, the brain, the training. What can AI do? What can we do with training for them? How can we use technology better? All of these questions, but never about how can people speak to each other better? How can people speak to each other in a way that makes it less likely that they're going to end up coming to the point when one of them has to use lethal, non-lethal, or self-defensive harm, right? In the gang shootings, right, I'm doing 3 cases right now, 3 legal cases right now. One is a gang shooting in Chelsea, one is a murder in downtown Boston, and one is a similar murder somewhere out in Mississippi. In all of those cases, before the decision to hurt or not hurt came up, there was a point when the 2 people were communicating. And the fact that that communication didn't lead to resolution started that snowball that then led to the later decisions that come down the line. And the more I study different types of crime, the more cases I'm involved in, the more I realise that it's the communication between the people that we always seem to ignore. But this is the soft side of last week. And it's something that Laurence Alison and I are increasingly looking at and increasingly seeing, is that whenever we teach people the orbit approach, whenever we teach people the keys of terrorist interrogation, they don't just say, oh my God, I'm an amazing interrogator now, thank you so much. They do say that. But they'll say, I'm a better father, I'm a better husband, right? I'm a better person because I now better understand communication. I am a better communicator because I studied orbit, right? And so we have this drift almost, right? We have the super high intensity communications over here. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's, Boston Bombers, Nicholas Cruz's, right? The high value detainees. And then we have our everyday conversations here. And then in the middle of that, there's kind of the soft side of communication here, right? Are all of those criminal cases that we kind of study as everyday forensic psychologists, where we skip past the idea that they have to communicate with people. And we focus on these psychological aspects of, well, obviously you've got to look at the brain, you've got to look at their upbringing, you've got to look at their development, you've got to look at all of these things. And we just forget sometimes to look at the fact that people have to communicate. And what does that communication look like? So in the summer, Laurence and I were putting together a training program. And we did this activity that we found was really useful, where we looked at 3 viral clips of interactions that were going on at that time. 2 of them are about policing protests, one very good, one very bad, and one of them is a traffic stop. And we just broke down the communication strategies being used and how those communications and the way that they were talking to each other, predictably in some cases, led to those negative outcomes that we saw. And that's what I'm going to play you for today's lecture. I want you to watch that. I want you to look at the way Laurence and I look at that. And I don't want you to, you don't need to take notes, to be honest. You don't need to write this all down, and you don't really need to bring it into the midterm. In fact, I've kind of designed this lecture to be a bit light so that you don't have to add any more burden or cognitive woes to the midterm. But what I want you to do at the end of this lecture, my goal, is I want you to basically just think more and be aware that people, in many cases, in many crimes, people talk to each other before they end up killing each other or harming each other or whatever the crime may be, whatever the case may be. There's a moment often where they interacted. And maybe if we harnessed that moment and we focused on that moment, whoever the people interacting are, maybe it's two gang members in Chelsea, like my case at the moment, or maybe it's a police officer and a peaceful protester, or a police officer and someone that they've stopped on the side of the road, right? Maybe if we stood or understood or focused on this idea of talking to people, communicating, we could prevent many situations from going down the path that leads to that decision we then all end up studying, right? That we all end up, looking at now. The decision to shoot or not shoot, to use lethal force or not use lethal force, right? The decision of the gang members in the case to end up trying to shoot each other over an argument about a bottle of Drambuie or whatever it was, right? What about the way in which they talk to each other? In forensic psychology, it's just not looked at. It's not brought in. There's not a forensic psychology of interpersonal communication in the preceding moments before a crime. But what I want you to get from this lecture and take with you is understanding how people talk to each other, and specifically why, when people talk to each other, it doesn't go well or it doesn't lead to resolution. That is such a central part in so many everyday cases. It's an untapped area, it's untapped potential that we could really do some good in. So this is just a teaser, really. The science isn't there yet. We're not doing enough of it, but this is a teaser to that idea. So if wherever you go in your lives beyond this lecture, take this nugget. That's all I want. Take this nugget. The importance of communication. And look at this video that Laurence and I put together. Enjoy it. It's a very fun conversation. Laurence is the best at diagnosing communication out of anyone I know. And so we have a really good time with these viral clips that hopefully you have seen, or at least you'll see them now. So enjoy this lecture, enjoy our interaction, and I'll see you at the end.
We're better than that. We are all people. All of you are my family. All of you are my family. I love each and every one of you. I cry at night because I feel your pain. I feel the pain. I feel the pain of black people. I feel the pain of white people. I feel the pain of innocent cops. I feel the pain. We're all scared. Black, white, cop, doesn't matter. We're all scared. We're living in fear. You gotta stop living in fear. I am not your enemy. You are not my enemy. We have to share this land no matter what. By the end of the day, we have to share this land no matter what. I'm here for you. I'm here with you. I'm not angry at none of you. I love all of y'all. I don't care if you're 5'2". I don't care if you're a 7-footer. I don't care if you're dark skinned. I don't care if you're light skinned. I don't care if you're white. Mask or not, uniform or not. You are my family, and I love you, and I respect you. And I want to understand y'all. I want to understand all of you. I want to. I deeply want to understand you. I would love to come to your house. I would love to meet your kids. I would love to meet your family. I would love to see the best side of everybody here.
So, but what is interesting about this, right? So what have we got this guy saying? So we've got a very impassioned young man who basically is in a pretty unthreatening position, not least because he's faced with a row of people with batons, and he's actually lower on the floor. So from a physical point of view, there's no immediate threat to the officer. It'll be that these guys and girls that are part of the officer team have been asked to remove these people, right? So that might be their goal. So if it is, what have they got there that they can be using? Well, this young lad said a lot of very positive things. I respect you. I want to understand you. You're not my enemy. So it would be pretty easy, I think, if even one of those officers had broken that line, come up to the guy and done something like either shook his hand and said, look, you know, you're right. We're not enemies. I'm on your side. I respect you.
Yeah.
But I do need to move you on, or whatever it is the goal was of those officers. Yeah. But the point is, this young lad, and, you know, whatever one thinks about this impassioned speech, and young people are young people, right? But there's no threat there. There is a reaching out to try and understand, to indicate that he respects, to say that he's scared. And even one of those cops breaking that line and going up to that kid and either just putting his hand on his shoulder saying, look, mate, you know, we're not on different sides here.
Yeah.
I know this looks weird because I'm in a uniform, but do you know what? You know, I respect you too. You know, I'm going to be sharing some of the same values as you.
Yeah.
And then do whatever it is that they need to do. But we don't see any interaction at all. So all we see is a line of disembodied, same-looking cookie-cutter cops that have not engaged with this person literally at all.
Yeah.
And then you play the rest of the video, we see it getting kind of worse.
This is not the best side of everybody here. I would love to see the best side of everybody here. Then you can change the whole perspective of how you view someone because of their size. Because of how you see them in different lights. Someone might have a bad day and you say they're a bad person. No. We all got bad days. We all got bad days. We gotta stop judging people only on our bad days. Because we all have them to some degree. How are you on your good days? Do you want to make a stand? Do you want to make a change? Because if we charge you and you charge us, what is that really doing? What is that really doing?
Come on, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Fuck you! Fuck you! What the fuck do you do?
Are you fucking kidding me?
For what? For what?
Freedom of speech! No! What are you doing? It's unconstitutional.
I mean, you know, who knows what sat behind this, or what information they'd had beforehand, or what they'd been told, or how they'd been lined up to perceive this, or what. And the fact is, we don't know. So it may well be that there was some information or intelligence or whatever it is that informed that view beforehand. I don't know, but there seems to me to be no real justification for not exploring, engaging with essentially what were a load of pretty positive hook comments that you could lock into there. You know, I mean, the guy even says, you know, we all have a bad day, almost as if saying, look, you know, I accept that not all of you are like this. And even
this cop in the George Floyd death might have just had a bad day, which is, I mean, incredibly kind of giving and forgiving perception, when in fact what you're seeing in front of you are a load of people that look exactly the same with big sticks in front of them. So, you know, there would have been a lot of, and, you know, even if one were to play devil's advocate and really go on the side of the cops and say, well, there was some intelligence that this specific kid was a problem, then, you know, what have you created when, with no interaction, discussion, or dialogue at all, you've turned that entire crowd who were on their knees seeking some understanding and, as they say, freedom of expression, you've turned them into the enemies. They'll never, ever, ever forget that interaction for the rest of their lives. And you've now just confirmed their worst suspicions about what the police are. I mean, you know, really incredible set of enemies you just created amongst that crowd.
So, Laurence, this is the second clip that you wanted us to go through, and this is, I think, a far more a common occurrence of a traffic stop and an interpersonal interaction. And so let's play this one, and anytime you want me to stop and jump in, just let me know. But we can see, let's look at the nature of the interaction and kind of how things escalate.
Well, so again, before we start, you know, we don't have any information on what the information this cop had before was. So, you know, this is a difficult one to judge in terms of, you know, the physical setup that the cops created here, what he's doing, etc., etc., etc. But what you often find in these, in the examples that go wrong, like I say, I'm at pains to emphasize that quite often and more often cops get it right. But when they get it wrong, I think quite often it is a inability to relinquish control. I've set it up so that I'm in control. Oh, I've got some new information that might suggest I can back off. But no, I'm not going to do that because I need to keep being in control. Yeah. And I don't mean, you know, you do need to be in control of your own emotions and you do need to be in control of the situation, but not to the point of it being totally disproportionate, unnecessary and unwarranted control that exceeds the requirement for the situation that you're in. And where I've seen these interactions go wrong is an inability to rejudge or reformulate the picture that's in front of them. So yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah. That's all.
Put your hands behind your back right now.
For what?
Right now, because you're being detained.
For what? That's what I'm trying to detain. For what? That's what I'm trying to get the understanding of.
So straight away, this is something we often see in police interviews where a suspect will come in and one of the things that they will ask first is, why am I here? And what the weaker officers will often do is they will say, well, you've been arrested under suspicion of whatever, X, Y, Z. But that isn't answering the question. The question was, why am I here? Which is, what evidence have you got? Or for what reason are you doing this? Yeah. And this is exactly what's happened here. The guy on the back of the car has said, the cop has said, put your hands behind your back. And the guy has said, why? And the answer is, because you're being detained. Okay, for what? Yeah. Right? What are you detaining me for? And what you've got to think of, and what, you know, we don't know, whatever the basis of the information is on this guy, this cop either should have said that the reason that I have stopped you is because I've had information that you have been whatever, blah, 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 or speeding or whatever it is. But no, I want you to put your hands on your head because I'm detaining you. Yeah. What does that mean? So, you know, and you think about it yourself, and this is what I mean by rapport. People think rapport is about, you know, soft skills or, you know, being nice to the person or whatever it is that they think it is. No, if I've been stopped in a traffic stop or I've been arrested under suspicion of murder or whatever, I don't need you to have a connection with me, which is, you know, about being nice to me. Yeah. But what I do need to get engagement with you and have a rapport with you, that is that I've got an understanding of why you are doing what you're doing to me. So the first question I've got if I'm a suspect is, why am I here? What is the evidence? On what basis am I here? Yeah. Or if you stop me for a traffic stop, I want to know what the reason is that you stopped me for. Have I been speeding? Do you think I've got a gun? What is it? What is it? What is it? I'm not just going to comply because you're detaining me, because you're the law or you're in control of me or you've got power over me. You want to know what's going on. So this is a fundamental problem.
You had an attitude when I looked in your eyes and the window rolled down. You said, "Follow me," and you turn your lights on. And you turn your lights on to pull him over.
Put your
And I followed you slowly.
Put your hands behind your back.
For what? I'm not getting arrested.
You are getting arrested.
For what?
Get your hands behind your
Why
back.
am I
right
getting
now.
arrested?
Get your hands behind your back.
Why am I getting arrested? Why am I being arrested?
You're being arrested for speeding, and now you're getting resisting arrest.
Right, so now not only has he finally said what he has been arrested for, which seemed to take ages to get the information on, but now the guy puts his hands on him before he's given that explanation, and then he adds another charge to it, which is before I've even satisfactorily answered why I'm stopping you, I'm now going to add another charge to it, which is you resisting arrest. And of course, what is that likely to do if you think about it? You didn't explain to me why you stopped me. And now before you've explained to me why you stopped me, you're actually going to add another charge to my rap sheet. So this is very likely to escalate the guy that you've got in front of you, which is exactly, of course, what happens.
Yeah.
How when you didn't tell me that? That ain't what you told me. Give me.
Ram, please.
Don't do that.
Ram, please.
Get on
Please
the
don't.
ground.
Don't do
Get on
that.
the ground.
Don't do that.
Get on the ground.
Don't do that.
Get on the ground.
Don't do it. Just wait till somebody come, Ram.
I'm waiting
Get
on
on
his
the
back.
ground.
Just wait till somebody
Wait on his
come.
back.
Just
Get
wait till
on the
somebody
ground.
come. Ram.
Get on the ground.
Okay.
Well, you ain't got to do all that.
Get on the
Ram,
ground.
please just don't move, cause he trying to mess with you anyways.
I ain't about to fight with you, sir. You need to give me your license.
I'm not fighting.
Okay, so now you want the license. Now you want the license.
Citizen, give me your.
Now you want the license. You want him to get on the ground. What do you want him to do?
So actually what's quite interesting about this now is the lady in this interaction is pretty reasonable and trying to, she stops her, I don't know, it was her husband, partner, son, or whatever. She's really worried, and as well she might be, that basically this guy's turned around and then backs right off and points this I don't know what it is, whether it's a gun or a taser or what it is that he's pointing at him. We've now escalated the situation, and she is seeking clarification. And again, the cop changes his plan again. Now I want to see your license. Now I want you on the ground. So this to me reeks of an inexperienced, badly trained cop that doesn't know what they're doing and is kind of doing it on the hoof, but not judging accurately what they're seeing in front of them. And again, doesn't like the fact that this guy quite reasonably is asking, what is going on? What are you doing? And the cop just keeps changing the message.
What do you want him to do? You want the license
Get
now?
on the
I
ground.
can't make it. For what?
Get on the
I'm
ground.
not doing anything.
Get on the ground.
For what? For what?
Get on the ground.
Why?
Ram, stop moving. Stop moving, Ram.
Get on the ground.
He did nothing.
Get on.
Okay, now he got his bag up. Just stay right there. Just stay right there.
And you pull me.
Put your hands out of your pockets.
He want the license. He want everything.
Help me get a handcuff.
No, before we
Put your
take
fucking hands behind your back.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Y'all gotta do all that. Do y'all gotta do all that? Do y'all gotta do all that? Y'all ain't gotta do all that. You ain't gotta do all that, sir. You ain't gotta do all that. All that shit what comes for. Y'all supposed to be.
I mean, when you look at that clip, kind of from start to finish, it's really clear to see just how quickly a single incident can escalate based on some fundamental lacks of early and open communication.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, one's got to be a little bit cautious about judging it. But my God, if that was my brother or my dad or my sister or my son that had been treated like that, I'd be absolutely horrified.
Yeah.
Horrified. This other cop comes straight out of the car, no interaction whatsoever, basically chokeholds him and bangs his head on the car. What is going on? If this guy was pro-police before, man, he's not going to be ever again. Again, he and his partner will never forget this. They will see it as a racist attack. And, cops are now my enemy. And who wouldn't find that a reasonable thought process to have after being dealt with in that way.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd be very interested to know what this second cop thought he was doing, whether he thought he was rescuing this unexperienced rookie or whatever it was that was going on. But what was in his head when he approached that detainee that he felt required that level of immediate force is just beyond me. And again, it's very easy, maybe, and I'm sure cops in the US will say to me, "Well, what the hell do you know? You haven't policed in the US, etc., etc., etc." I have worked with cops in the US, and like I've said, by and large, the overwhelming majority, are in the job for the right reason. But you get a small minority, and it only takes a very small minority of these sorts of interactions to get around to make it very hard to imagine that there is not a problem, not saying it's a massive problem, but a problem, a significant problem in US policing that is about not treating people correctly. And whether it's to do with training, values, racism, I don't know, but it's a problem. It's a big problem.
Okay, well let's change tone and look at one that I know you flagged as a positive.
I personally love the protest. Right. I would like to be out here helping, but unfortunately I have a job. All right, so I'm trying to mediate.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so there's new groups coming. Don't give them a hard time. They really don't know who's who at this point. Okay. We know that y'all not, and I just iterated that. So the communication is there. So it shouldn't be a communication barrier where anybody gets aggressive or upset at this point.
Right.
When exciters come back, y'all just need to distance yourselves from the exciters, because those people are not here to protest. Those people are here to steal Gucci. They're here to steal products and put money in their pocket and sell stuff. That's what they're using this agenda for. I asked one guy. Listen to me. Trust me, we're here. One of the guys couldn't even tell me who the guy y'all was protesting for. He didn't even know who George Floyd was. He wasn't even from Georgia. Right. All right. So we know that it's infiltrators within with a different agenda. Right. So if y'all can distance yourselves from the guys that are yelling and trying to fight. There's another guy here. A guy was trying to pray for somebody. He didn't even want the guy praying. We don't want those guys in the midst of the protest. We want justice. We want peace. We want all equality for everybody. Everybody here has families. They have kids. I worry about my kids just as much as y'all do. All right. I am Atlanta, so just
all we was asking though is for y'all to kneel.
I asked you a question, but
we just asked for y'all to kneel.
Just hold on, I'm trying to communicate.
Let's talk right now. We listening.
Some people don't understand. So we have to acknowledge that some people don't understand. So y'all guys understand. So y'all can help us. Just distance the protesters. The peaceful people stay with the peaceful people. Whoever want to excite,
we push them out.
From there.
We'll do that.
The objective is for y'all to protest and keep peace in the city.
Right.
We don't want nobody hurt, nobody harmed.
Right.
Everybody goes home safe and the purpose is made.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
All right, thank you, bro.
So let me ask you a series of other questions. Did that guy seem weak or strong?
Strong.
Why?
So it's an interesting point, because I think in the previous video we talked about adaptation, and the other officer didn't adapt to questions. I wouldn't say he was particularly adaptive, because people were trying to ask him questions and he didn't really diverge into responding or communicating. So that's why I hold him as strong, as he was very much leading the conversation and articulating his viewpoint and not really breaking into a kind of a Q&A. And there were efforts by the crowd. They wanted to ask him questions and talk to him, and he kind of he didn't really divulge into them or go into them. He kind of maintained his narrative to the crowd. So that's why I would say strong.
I mean, actually, at one point he even said, "Listen."
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, which I think is interesting, because you always argue that rapport is not necessarily just soft skills and being nice. And I think he argues it there. Did they have rapport? I would say yes. Was he soft? No.
But let me ask you another question then. Did he seem fair?
Yes.
Why?
I think he seemed fair in that he was justifying and explaining his position in a way that at least allowed you to understand it. Now, at the same point, we didn't see any of his actions or the actions of how that crowd was being treated. But from his communication there, I would say that I would have perceived him as fair, in that I at least understand where his response is coming from, and I guess I have an insight into his mindset.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's a good example of what we call proportionate measured control. In charge, advising, setting the agenda, gives real clarity around why he wants what he wants, but isn't at any point cruel, inhumane, degrading, or bullying. You know, in the first two clips, the sense that you get is the strong picking on the weak, and that, you know, feels like an act of cowardice. Whereas this guy comes across as very strong, very in control, but not in a bullying way. There's no bullying required, and the guy's got riot gear on, right? So if he wants these people to back down, theoretically, he could just go in there and kick ass, right? Yeah. But he totally doesn't need to do that, because the strength that he's got is through his clarity of exposition of why he's there and what he's doing, and actually some shared values. The very first thing he says is, I'd like to be here with you protesting, but I've got a job to do, and this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is what I'd like you to do. So, you know, it's very humanizing. He talks about himself. I worry about my kids. I think he says something like, I'm Atlanta. He has shared identification with the crowd. Yeah. And so, you know, part of this is about common values. If you as a police officer say, look, I want the same thing that you want. I've got kids to look after. I've got these shops to look after. I can't let people loot these shops. So we're on the same side. Yeah. You've got a right to protest about the way this guy was treated. And he also makes it, you know, even more clear, and he gives a concrete example of a guy that he